You can hear
Yes,
me?
yes, sir. Yeah, please go.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
So another important point that I would like to cover today is about the men engaging with the healthcare. Men rarely have a time to look at their own health as such. That's what most of the research findings also tries to tell us. And even when you try to look at the men die much more younger than the women. And when you try to look at the type of diseases a woman dies from, it could be something what we call it as the heart diseases, or even cancer possibilities also much more higher. And when you look at the incidence of 7 out of 10 of the most common infectious disease is higher in men than women. And interestingly, right now, what is going on around us, that is COVID-19, or you can call it as the novel coronavirus, there also you can find the men try more than the women as such. Okay, these all are the instances to try to show that the man is more vulnerable. And the next very important point is about the depression symptoms also. It is much more noticed in man, which goes undiagnosed as such. And what is this all about? Why is it? Like even some of the studies also, which we try to scroll and find, we always find a lot of gender differences. And interestingly, what they have found is the women at one particular point of their life started paying attention to their health care, and they were more concerned about their health. What was it all about? Interestingly, the women find a reason to live. A woman has a goal which is much more fixed as such, and that makes her life to go ahead, and it keeps on going on most of the time. But that doesn't happen to men. And especially when we're trying to look at most of the cases also, when whether it's husband and wife, if the wife dies earlier than the husband survives hardly for 5 to 7 years. Then, in some cases, within 2 years, he dies off. But a woman can survive without a man in her life for 10 years, 15 years, and 20 years, and 25 years also. Why is it? A woman is having a specific goal in her life. When she gets a goal in her life, what she does is she spends most of the time in order to accomplish that particular goal or a meaning in her life as such. She says, I want to take care of this child who's 5 years old. I want to be alive until the child comes to 10th standard. Then maybe until he becomes an engineer, or maybe he becomes an officer. Then after that, she has a inclination or inkling to see the grandchildren also. But that doesn't happen with man as such. He gives up very easily. There are various reasons also for it. Maybe when we come to the discussion part, we can discuss more about it. And the psychological well-being, what I would like to suggest over here is trying to see that the men should visit healthcare centers. Once they reach the age of 40 or 35, they should be regularly visiting at least once a year to the hospital as such. And don't laugh at me, participants, because about the good diet, I was speaking about liver as such. Because I don't know, like even when we try to find most of the researchers, we try to find that men love to drink a lot, and sometimes they abuse a lot about their liver as such. And it could be good moments or bad moments, but all the time they always would like to go for alcohol as such. So that's the reason I'm trying to talk about good diet, and I emphasize about liver. Coffee is good for that. Beetroot and whole grain products, that is wheat or rice or ragi or whatever you mention it about. Or almond is also very good, and spinach for that. And here we would like to recommend some sort of exercises, some minimum exercises also required by the man as such. And very important is try to have a fixed goal in life, or a very specific goal in your life that could really make your life to go ahead as such. And now and then it should not be an anathema, or it should not be like, there is some sort of what do you call it as hesitation. Don't try to hesitate to go and meet a counselor as such, because it is very, very essential for most of us that we need. And instead of using the counselor, I think we can use the word as life coach as such. That's become a new word for us as such. So when you're trying to talk about it here, we have some articles also that we have published here, that is regarding, like, who is most susceptible for committing suicide as such. And here we try to find that when a person has a sense of meaning in his life, he likes to belong to somebody, and his lifespan also gets increased as such. That's a second article that we had worked upon. And a very important third article is about how we are supposed to have this positive mode in our life, which can make you to have a hope in your life as such. So that's the article all about. So here I conclude my presentation, and if you have any doubts or any questions, or in case you want any articles or maybe any of those ebooks or soft copies, you can just mail me to anilhubs@gmail.com. This is a personal email, but the official one is skamble@kud.co.in, which I think Suresh sir is already having it, or you can just ping me on the cell phone as such. So thank you, Suresh, for giving me an opportunity to do the presentation. And if the participants have any questions, I'll be ready to.
Yes, sir. I officially record my sincere gratitude and thanks on behalf of the Department of Psychology, American College, for your wonderful presentation, sir. I think when you are presenting time itself, I have received many WhatsApp as well as chat box. They're asking your PPTs. So if you are concerned,
please. Yes.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. That is their proper. And if some of them want the books, ebooks, especially breaking away from the what do you call that cell phone, especially cell phone has become a major reason for breakups nowadays. Even for counseling sessions, also husband, wife, and boyfriend, girlfriend, they come with this issue and all that. So I can provide that book also. And there is a lot of many materials I have which I can share with them.
Definitely.
It is all their properties.
Thank you, sir, for your generous and then open to share your own knowledge. And I would like to quote here, my teacher told me that when I was reading, when you share your knowledge with somebody else, the knowledge will expand. If you keep with you, it will shrink, and you will get nothing else. So I think that's why you are having more knowledge in that subject, sir.
It is all being in the, I think, being into the hard research, in fact, for more than 23 years. So I think we stand to accomplish a lot here. And I think I do hope I have answered most of the questions why a husband never listens to his wife as such, or why there's so much of emotional dysfunction that is taking place, or so many other things that do take place here. Because if a woman or if a girl understands this basic, what do you call that, mental functioning or the brain function of a man, I think that it's not going to be any sort of discord or problem for their relationship as such.
Sir, shall we take some questions from the participants?
Yes, please. Yes.
Sir, I think someone from the raise their hand. Dr. Selvi.
Selvi, sir, I am Selvi from Vellore B.Ed College, Government College.
Yes,
really, I feel very happy over that, sir. There are many programs you are preparing and you are coordinating everything for that. I want to thank you first of all. Then today is a good speaker. He has given many experiences from other life also he has given. I want to thank him also. And also one request I want to put to you, sir, that some of the thing, I belong to education department. And regarding some research methodology, can you make some sessions, sir?
Ma'am, definitely I will arrange.
Yes, sir. If you give your phone number, I can directly talk with you, sir. I am from
sir. Yes. I will send you, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the program, sir. Okay, very good, very nice, very useful, informative, and so on. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Devamani, I don't know. Devamani. Hello, Devamani.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, you can proceed, sir. The resource person is here.
Good evening, sir. I am Devamani.
Okay.
Government College of Education, Vellore.
Yes, please.
Very useful and very nice presentation, sir.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you, sir. Thanks so much. Sir. And Mr. Krishnan, sir. Yeah, Krishnan, sir. Yes, Krishnan, sir. Hello, sir, Krishnan. Sir, Krishnan, sir.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes, we can hear you. Please.
Sir, this was one of the fantastic presentations I recently, attended, and very, very informative. See how I know. See, you said the people were they changed into six packs and the trend you are talking about.
Yes.
But now with this all this in the contemporary world, one set of people are freaking out on keeping their health, their mind, and the others, they don't bother. So
Yes.
that is an alarming thing.
Yes.
How to make this thing, the awareness to reach out to people.
See, especially when you try to talk about the 6-pack and 8-pack, in fact, most of the people who come into our counseling rooms also, they come with health disaster also, because they're going into so much of artificial proteins, which is actually not recommended to them, including some of them you abuse the body using this.
Actually, we see those boxes, the dabbas,
yes,
those boxes are looking like 6-packs. Actually, it's very scary.
No, I do agree with that. But actually, this whole system of trying to look at a man in this particular manner, that he should be like this. But I don't think any woman, maybe in the initial period of a courtship, or maybe when she's marrying, she would like to marry somebody like that. But once she gets into that wedlock, I don't think a woman expects her husband to be having a 6-pack as such. What she wants is the emotional understanding of her,
and exactly.
the attachment, the compassion, the empathy which flows, that becomes important. See, as far as the physical world is concerned, or the physiology is concerned, it is good to some extent. But a healthy body means, it doesn't mean a 6-pack as such. It is how much he's breathing at one particular, within 1 minute, how much he's supposed to breathe in the oxygen. That's more important. It's not like trying to show the muscles. Are you trying to show the muscles for what? Are you trying to abuse somebody? That's what the main question arises here. But I think the women have hit back at men. There was a time when men used to tell the hip and the waist ratio. They started with that. The women also, why will they keep quiet? They also started showing that, okay, we want 6-pack, we want 8-packs. So it was some sort of retaliation. Even when we try to look at, as a psychology, we say that, okay, I think the women are much more smarter now. They woke up now. And interestingly, when you try to find a lot of journals in psychology, you find more are having inclination towards the women's health and women's welfare as such. So men have been sidelined. So I think there should be a man has become now, and what do you call it as, we have to protect the man. It has
and
become
also
for us now. Like,
sir,
please.
Dr. Shanmukh, also, if you see the psychologists, in the profession also,
yes,
we are actually outnumbered. Of
course. So yes, very well point taken. And in fact, the women are doing much more better. There was a time when people were trying to say, testosterone is trying to contribute and try to make a man smarter. But nowadays, you have women who are equally smarter. As far as when I say smart, I mean intelligent. When we use this Wechsler's test, Bhatia's test, we find that the girls are much more better and trying to do something much more better there.
Absolutely.
So I think now we have a dispute whether testosterone is really contributing for them to be having high spatial intelligence or not. That also is a question to be asked. And interestingly, most of my collaborators are all women, and hats off to all the women who really worked with me, and a lot of work also you can observe. We have a lot of women participants there as such. Yeah, please.
Thank you very much. It was wonderful having you, sir. It's a fantastic presentation. In the recent days, very, very informative. Yes. The flow was fantastic. And, that shows the experience, I feel really elevated to listen to a lecture, sir. Thank you so very much.
Hello.
There is an Almos. Yeah, Almos.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I'd like to ask one question. Kamble sir, first of all, thank you so much for a wonderful presentation. It was really awesome, and I can't find words to praise about it. Okay. The thing is, sir, you told me, for the well-being, there are few things which we need to follow up. So mostly for my clients, there is one common question. The more you forgive, you are being taken for granted. Can you just throw some view on that? How do I deal with such kind of questions?
Okay.
Are you able to get it, or you want me to repeat?
I'll come to the point. Actually, we have this particular program, what we call it as the Reach Forgiveness. Here, okay. Especially when we say forgive, it doesn't mean that once you forgive, you have to believe that person again. You have to build our boundaries there. Once you have been fooled by a person, once the person has broken your heart, don't carry that anger or frustration about that person in your mind. Because by having this revenge attitude, you're only burning yourself. You're only creating a lot of emotional turmoil for yourself. So especially when I say forgive that person, it means once you're done with that person, we need to move or walk away. You should not carry, it's almost like we don't carry early in the morning. I think I can give a very good example for this. Early in the morning, we clean our house and we throw the dirt out of the house. How many times do we really throw the hate, the revenge attitude, the filthy thoughts from our mind? Do we every day clean it? We have to clean that also from our minds. It becomes very difficult. So I think forgiveness is one of those brooms which we'll take and we'll try to sweep away revenge, the depression, the anxiety, the fear which we develop towards this particular individual when they come in front of us. So forgiveness doesn't mean that taken for granted and we can be fooled again. No, it's not that.
No, sir. Like as you're saying, like we need to move away. We need to like.
Yes.
How can you like put it in between the spouse? Like the most of the conditions or the most of the clients or like it's between the spouses. So how is that to be done?
I think this needs a very different approach, because especially when we have been trying to work on this forgiveness, especially in couples. So individually we are trying to do the program and we do find a lot of changes. And let me put another statement here. When we are trying to use this forgiveness, it again depends what sort of personality that person is made of. Because when Karen Horney also speaks about personality type, moving towards the people, moving against the people, moving away from the people. If the wife is moving towards the people and the husband is moving against the people, this sort of two personalities, they cannot get along as such. So before we start this particular therapy, I think it is good to know what sort of personality they do possess, and then we can try to use it. It is almost like trying to say that the same medicine will not work for every person. For a person, maybe it is an allopathic, homeopathic, or it could be Ayurvedic. But we cannot say the forgiveness works for everybody as such. Sometimes instead of forgiveness therapy there, I think we have to start using maybe gratitude therapy or maybe even communication as a therapy. That might be working well here in this particular case.
So the thing is like for the well-being, for a well-being, for a person to just to like come out of that kind of a trauma, a forgiveness is a kind of a thing which definitely help. Meaning like,
yes.
Okay, so like as you're telling it is a long process and a long therapy, and in between, especially between the spouses, like
yes,
you understand, sir, every day when we wake up, like we are
true.
supposed to see the thing, like then there should be something else like which we come out of it. So what will be that kind of a guidance that I can be using for my clients and then to sort it out?
Yes. Especially when forgiveness doesn't work in this particular instance, that time we are always trying to use assertive training as so that the person will be becoming more assertive to whatever the other part or maybe the spouse is trying to harass, it could be, or trying to belittle them or insult them. We teach them that how to say no to it. Because being a spouse or being a wife, it doesn't mean we should be at the receiving end or the vice versa as such. So here we use that assertive training as one of those methods and techniques which we like to suggest instead of forgiveness therapy as such.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Yes. Hi, I'm Dr. Suresh from Chennai. I couldn't hear you fully, but I would like to ask you a few questions related to couple. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, please.
This is related to, I'm actually dealing with counseling with students, youth, and as well as couple. And I could see that a lot of trust breaking. I mean, there are a lot of issues related to trusting a person as well as breaking trust. And I could really see that it is actually cropping much nowadays. And if you look into the youth population, especially with college youngsters, they are getting into relationship very quickly, and then they are also breaking with a lot of silly reasons. I will say from my side, it is silly, but it is really an important decision for them. They break up very quickly, and before they break up with that guy or that female, they have other standby or like a Stepney kind of, some other relationship is hanging on to cling on. And they don't even give an kind of period for them to heal from this breakup and get into other, relationship. They really would like to cling on to the relationship. They switch relationship very easily. And after some time, they could see that a lot of guilt and there is a lot of, unsettled anger and unfinished business are there. And neither they're happy with the previous decision nor they're happy with the further decision.
Yes.
You see a lot of cases.
Yes.
What would be your expertise in this? You can share.
These are all a passing phase, I feel, especially when these people, they have not taken up the, what you call it, the relationship itself as serious. And we do get clients, and those clients, as you said, like they break up on such a silly reasons and issues. And when they come to our counseling room, and when we try to tell them, especially you speak about the role modeling in particular, or social learning theories we try to put in there. And when we try to give the example about their own past, how long they're married and how the things have gone on and how the things keep going. But here we find the person, especially these young couples, they are more into instant gratification. And what they do is like, it's almost like they're going for, I should not be using such word as such, but they're going for fast food most of the time. Whatever is there in front of them, they would like to grab it. They're not finding that whether it's good for their long-term relationship, or are this person going to be there for a longer time or not. They fail to understand this particular whole concept as such. And for them, what looks good is good for them, but they don't try to go, like as we say, there is something deeper than the skin, which is very important and vital, which they try to fail to understand. And it's all a growing stage, or you can call it as the learning experiences.
And I would also like to mention for the couple thing,
yes.
When it comes to couple, and I know that we all quote it, men are from Mars and women are from Venus, that there's a lot of discrepancy between their desire and as well as their communication pattern.
Yeah, I think again it goes. Hello.
Yeah, please.
Hello.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. I think I need to speak to you all about the fixed mindset here. Like most of the time, we go with the expectations, and we have found that with the boys also and with the girls also, they go with some expectations, and they're not on the ground realities. Let me tell you very frankly, they're not on the ground realities, and I would not like to blame the movies, or I would not like to blame the things that is happening around them as such. But I think they need to sense of this, or maybe the belief or the experiences also will make these people to understand what life is all about. Otherwise, for these people, everything is like, there's no question of waiting in these people. There's nothing called waiting for them at all.
Patience,
They always are in a hurry for everything.
They don't actually gratification, impulsivity.
Yeah, exactly. We can talk about this in terms of what you call the willpower. Instant gratification, and trying to do those things which are much more riskier in the long run and all. And those
I could even see that tolerance level has come down when it
very
comes
much.
to
very much. When it comes to toleration level also, the amount of toleration what your parents had or what you have is very different from these youngsters or the youths what we are trying to see around them. And the way they come to the counseling room also with the reasons and all, sometimes it even though we don't want to be judgmental, immediately we get it like, okay, such a simple reason, and they come with the breakups. And this is even happening with the couples, and hardly they marry for 6 months or 3 months, they come with the statement saying that I want a breakup or I want a divorce as such.
I also would like to ask you the question related to living together, and there is something called friends with benefits also has come.
Yes, exactly. Yes,
and if you look into the relationship itself, now we are talking about the committed relationship, which itself is not committed, and breakups are too much in nowadays. When it comes to living relationship and as well as with the friends with benefits, how it is actually affecting them emotionally and their psychological well-being, as a person building up their future life and withstanding and being resilient. I don't think so it is going to help them. And but we are also in a way accepting, encouraging. We don't have a say over in in terms of law also. So what do you think about that?
See, as far as live-in relationships are concerned, even when you try to look it from the sociological point of view, initially when we used to say a family, it used to be only mother as such. Even when you look at the animal kingdom also, is the mother. The father is just a person who contributes and goes, but it's the mother who does the rearing, bringing a child, and until it becomes mature to go as such. But later on, a woman or maybe the society started saying there should be a man there to earn the bread. They brought the man there, and it was like a compromise. Whatever the woman wanted, he was giving it. It's almost like a live-in relationship was there that time. And they started binding them with religion or binding them with social norms, and then came the marriage as such, and where they were being binded. So sometimes what happens is we are going back to the basics. It's almost like there was a time when people used to say you have to say a prayer and your stomach ache will go. Then they started saying you eat this herb, the stomach ache will go. Then they started saying take this pill and your stomach ache will go. Now again we are going back to the same thing. You just go
It
to
is
the
a kind of
doctor says, yeah, done the
evolutionary thing
operation.
you are
Yeah,
saying.
exactly. I'm coming to that point. So this is how we are going into that particular instances. And there was a time when single mother was scoffed at. People used to laugh at the lady if she's left her husband. But now things have changed. She gets much more value and she's much more determined and independent woman. It's almost like when you look at the old sociological theories of how a woman was or how a woman has evolved, this is how it looks at. Even from an evolution psychological point of view, even when you look at the animal kingdom also, even there also the same thing is going on. Mother is supreme. A single mother is much more stronger than the man, they say. And even if you try to meet a doctor and ask him, he says, oh, what is a man after all? What's a father after all? He just contributed his sperms, or he just gave those sperm, that's it. Who the mother is the one who really carries, nurtures, and she gives the best of best. And the interesting point for the women participant here is the intelligence of the child, your child is depending on the mother's intelligence. This is the recent finding which has come into the light of psychology. Earlier they used to say it's the father's intelligence, now it's the mother's. Now you have no complaint against the child. You see, you cannot say, from where did these genes come? Oh, it's your genes as a mother, and we have to accept the fact as such. So things keep on going and developing, and sometimes we are going back to the basics where we had gone.
Thank you, Shanmukh.
Yeah. Thank you.
So Ranjit. Yes. So Ranjit, can you able to hear me?
Hello.
Yes.
Can I?
Yes, please.
Hi, sir.
Yes.
Sir, good evening. Good evening.
Yes.
Thank you so much for the very good presentation with so much of technical details and new information.
Okay.
Sir, I would like to ask a question.
Yes.
Like, generally, people think that the quality of caring and nurturing is only women are good at it and men cannot do it. Even literates, people who hold high positions also have the same understanding. This is affecting the men population, especially. And even I have also experienced the same thing. So whenever I go to the interview and all that, they ask for female psychologists.
Yes.
So even they think that men cannot do, or women are better than this. So how true is it psychologically? Having said about prolactin and testosterone and all that, so would you accept with this? Or should we have to tell them or explain them, or what stand should we take?
Yeah. See, I did mention a term called as estrogens also. It doesn't mean that the men don't have a female hormones within their system as such. It is there. But only on certain professions, I think this particular secretion gets increased, especially when you're working as a counselor, when you're working as a social worker, or when you're working with human beings in particular, I think this comes to a particular level of over secretion, you can say, or it comes into the forefront as such. But that doesn't mean that you are any less man as such. Maybe your work demands that particular qualities, what we call it as the finer qualities of nurturance or of caring, or even you call it as empathy being expressed as such. Let me use a term. There was a time when man was never called to the kitchen now. And if a man is coming to the kitchen, the older women used to look with a lot of surprise and amazement. They used to say, why the man is a man? Why is he cooking? But to your great surprise and shock, when you'll go to the hotel, you might go with your wife, or the woman or the girl might go with the boy. But the person who's cooking there in the kitchen is a man there. Isn't it?
Yes.
In a very rare phenomena, you end up seeing a woman who's cooking there. And sometimes it is also, like, it goes without saying that, when you keep going to the same hotel again and again, you get fed up, because there's the same person who's cooking their man. But that may not happen when the woman is cooking there. Woman cooks it out of compassion, thinking it's a care, and she puts a lot of love in whatever she's preparing it. But when a man does it, he does it out of duties and responsibilities. There's a lot of difference there, the way a woman sees at a profession and the man sees at a profession. And here what happens is, the mindset of the person who's standing there, Ranjit Kumar, to take your interview, we have to make him to change his point of view by at least giving you a one chance or two chance. Let him see you in session. Let him really see there when you start working as a counselor. Because to tell you very frankly, when we start working as a counselor, we are the most asexual person. We don't take our sexuality at our work at all. We don't sit there as a man, or a girl will not sit there as a girl. She sits there as a counselor. We leave all our identity of our masculinity or femininity back, and then we sit and start doing the work and job.
Yes, sir.
But it takes a little.
I totally agree with you, sir. Then
how difficult it was.
Only then
Ranjit,
given a
Ranjit,
chance,
only
only we can prove.
Ranjit, I would like to ask you one question. I would like to ask you one small question.
Yes, sir.
Are you comfortable if the bus driver is a woman, or are you comfortable if the bus driver is a man? If the person who's driving your
I'm
bus,
comfortable, sir.
are you're comfortable with whom? If it is a driver, is a man or a woman?
Driver, bus driver.
Sir,
but the same thing goes.
To drive,
the same
sir.
principle goes with the stereotype people also. But let me explain it. Nowadays we have
that
men.
Is my attitude.
No, I understood that. That's what I was trying to tell. Men have to remove this mindset that man also can do a job better. And before I get locked out, I would like to tell you another important point. See, whatever we are, man or a woman as such, but things are slightly changing and the roles also changing. Now we have men who are really working. Hello? Here we have men who are working in the kitchen, and we call them as metrosexual man. The concept has gone now. The man is also more or less like a woman nowadays, especially they also take care, they also do the washing. And you believe it or not, I was surprised to find, there are some creams also which a man has to wear, will apply and go for the work and all that. So things have changed, and we have come across a concept called as metrosexual also now. There is no nothing called as a macho man. Now it is a man who should have the feminine quality also. And for that, you can go to the second slide or the third slide, where I tried to show the qualities or the traits which society was trying to say about it. Now the society is slightly trying to do a change and trying to get into that particular change views about men and women also. The things are getting redefined as such. Maybe after another 5 or 10 years, maybe the things will be a little more different as such. Yes, thank you participants for being such an ardent listeners. And Suresh Kumar, I owe you a lot, and it was wonderful. We met, I think, 3 years or 4 years back in Annamalai, and it was wonderful meeting you there. And thank you for the opportunity. Thank you. And all the participants, my wholehearted, I'm so overwhelmed. This is the first time ever I'm getting such a huge audience. Otherwise, my audience are just 15 people or 20 people as such. And even when we go to the places to give addresses also, or maybe for workshop, I don't get such a beautiful and big audience. Thank you one and all for putting up
sir,
with my talks. Yes.
Really, I want to say one thing, sir. Very wonderful session you have arranged, sir. Suresh Kumar, sir, hats off to you. Very good program you have arranged. Thank you a lot.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Suresh. Thank you. The last video.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, I think this is the last video we are going to see and say that men are also good.
Yes,
I think this is the only advertisement where I saw that it's tried to show.
Men are awesome, yeah. Otherwise, how female will be happy? Men are awesome. I really enjoy, being a men supporter.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Suresh. Fantastic. Thank you so very much.
Video Suresh.
Suresh Kumar, sir, kindly give a number, sir. I want to talk with you. Such a wonderful. All the best.
So you are now having ad break also.
We'll put commercial now.
And for ad break also. Men are responsible. See how caring.
I think it went up to 80, I think, isn't it?
Sir, hello. Hello. Hello.
How caring he is.
Hello.
Men are always caring, ma'am.
Hello.
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 Ladies are not carrying.
Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Can we get the recordings? I missed a few things.
Yes, I will share you the recording in the social media.
That Suresh will do definitely.
Yes, I will do that, ma'am.
Happy to,
thank you,
happy to be part of this. Thank you so much. Bye.
Sir, I record my sincere thanks to you for amazing presentation, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure, my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you all for your support.
Thank you.
Bye, bye, Suresh. Thank you so much. It was good.
Bye, Suresh.
Yes, sir. Bye, sir.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.